So in yesterday's class, I asked you two questions. That was what are the types of fractures and what are phalanges? Did you find out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start with fractures. What are the types of fractures?
Open fracture, closed fracture, transverse fracture,
Open, closed, transverse, and
uh, compound fracture,
okay, comminuted भी बोलते हैं उसको.
sure.
And
Spingal fractures,
spingle, spiral, and I think there are two more.
simple, simple fracture, and
Simple fracture. Huh?
uh,
How would you define a simple fracture?
open fracture, small,
आप ग्रीन स्टिक फ्रैक्चर को सिंपल बोल रहे क्या?
sure. Sir.
Bone does not break. Sometimes it will bend or there will be a small crack. That's it. And it's another one.
Oblique
Spiral oblique is the same, or transverse in a way. अच्छा, एक बचा हुआ है. Find out and tell me. You told all of them. Just one is left. What are phalanges?
finger, bones, fingers, bones of
Bones
fingers,
that
sir.
makes up the fingers of the hands and the
Hmm.
toes of the foot.
Hmm. Okay. Phalanges will
56
essentially
phalanges
refers
are
to
there.
your fingers and toes. Yes. Then I hope you know what are carpals and tarsals as well. If you looked up what are phalanges, then you'll see in that same photo, you'll be able to understand what are carpals and what are tarsals. Carpals, tarsals, metacarpals, metatarsals. They conform to the bones of your hand and your wrist and your hand as well as your ankle and your leg. Okay. Anyway, now coming back to arthritis, we discussed up to suppurative arthritis yesterday. Today we'll continue with tuberculous arthritis. Now, as the name suggests, the patient is suffering from tuberculosis. This might be hematogenously spreading to the patient. So, blood से bone को spread हो रहा हो, या फिर joint को specifically rather than bone, I would say. Uh, Either the organism is reaching your lung, causing a infection, focus of infection there. From there, it is reaching your blood vessel and going to different joints, or it might be a direct spread. Direct spread कैसा होता? Remember tuberculous osteomyelitis? Some patients will have a special type of osteomyelitis because of tuberculosis. That tuberculous osteomyelitis might spread to the joint, nearby joint, and it might cause arthritis. What you will see is that the affected joint or the affected articular surface will have a grayish white deposit. They will have a grayish white exudate. Okay, and occasionally you will also see small tubercles appearing in your joint. Microscopically, that joint or the synovium specifically starts getting studded with small tubercles. Okay, confluent caricaceating tubercles might appear in the synovial area of that joint, and there will be underlying necrosis. Sometimes granulation tissue will come into picture that might trigger necrosis. Then we have gouty arthritis. Now, this is also called gout. Okay, this is a disorder of purine metabolism. So purines essentially will be your adenine, guanine, xanthine, वो पूरे hypoxanthine. they are not being metabolized properly inside your body, because of which uric acid concentration will increase, specifically serum uric acid. Sharp increase in serum uric acid levels, because of which what will happen is, as they start getting concentrated, they will turn into crystals. ठीक है, monosodium urate monohydrate बल्कि crystals रहते हैं. Those crystals are made up of monosodium urate monohydrate. ठीक है, these will be the crystals. ये crystals जो है, they'll start causing a lot of damage, and specifically these crystals sometimes might be seen inside the leukocyte itself. Inside WBCs you might be able to see these monosodium urate crystals, and generally they are present in the synovial fluid and the joint space. What will happen is, as these monosodium urate crystals start getting accumulated, they will form some small stones. ठीक है, porous stones बनते, छोटे छोटे पत्थर बनने लगते. They will form porous stones, and these porous stones are called tophi. Okay, I'll show you one image of how a tophus looks. Tophi is a plural, tophus is singular. Okay, so if the most commonly affected joint in gout or gouty arthritis will be a big toe. So as you can see, these small crystals or stones of uric acid that are being formed, monosodium urate crystals के, they will form something called a tophus. ठीक है, several tophus will together be called a tophi. Okay, these यहाँ पर it is showing the big toe. It will generally be present in any joint of extremities. Okay, fingers or toes. Sometimes gout can also be because of renal disease. ठीक है, generally there is a problem in the interstitial tissue of your kidney, because of which uric acid is not being excreted out of your body and it starts getting accumulated. All right, it might also be because of nephrolithiasis. ठीक है, kidney stones, because of which uric acid is being accumulated inside your body. In any scenario, this gout generally occurs in people who are in their 30s, more often than not in 30s, and it is more common in men than in women. Okay, family history does play a big role, because one or the other patient's relative will definitely have gout or some symptoms of gout. Clinically, gout will have 4 different stages. Even though we'll not go into the details of those 4 stages, it is better that you know what those stages are. First of all, gout will start as an asymptomatic stage. So the patient will have asymptomatic hyperuricemia. So without any specific what do you call symptoms like joint pain or any other symptoms, the patient will have hyperuricemia. If you withdraw blood and check their blood, you will see that they have high serum uric acid levels. Then they will have acute gouty arthritis. Slowly they'll start having attacks of gouty arthritis where they'll have severe pain. Now this pain can occur, generally this pain occurs early in the morning when they get up, वो time पे होता. And patients who have gout, उन लोगों को whether they can either warm the joint or they can cool the joint. Either way, warming will also work, cooling will also work, but preferably you can warm the joint. ठीक है, कोई भी as ये क्या बोलते हैं, warm bag, hot bag लेके you can warm the joint, and it will dissipate the inflammation, wherein you'll be able to walk after that, or else it will be quite painful. Then some patients, the third stage will be asymptomatic intervals. Asymptomatic intervals of intercritical periods. So यहाँ पर क्या होता, asymptomatic intervals of intercritical period essentially refers to stages in between acute gouty arthritis. So third stage of gout, essentially the patient will again become asymptomatic, but whenever they have a period, it will become very critical. Whenever they have an attack of arthritis or whenever they have an attack of gout, it will become very critical. And in between, it will be laced with asymptomatic interval. The patient will not show any symptoms altogether, and suddenly out of nowhere, they will have an attack of gout. Finally, chronic tophaceous period. In this stage, the patient is having more and more this tophi being formed in their joints. So you will see quite a lot of joints, quite a lot of peripheral joints and extreme joints. So joints of your fingers, joint of your toes, sometimes even the knees, they will start having more and more amount of this stone being formed, porous stone being formed. That is the last stage, chronic tophaceous period. Now, as such, if we talk about the types and pathogenesis of gout or gouty arthritis, the fundamental biochemical change that you see in patients who have gout will be hyperuricemia. Their uric acid level will become excess of 7 mg per dl, way more than normal. Okay, the upper limit of uric acid levels, serum uric acid levels is somewhere around 6.97 के around रहता. In people who have gout, it will be way beyond 7. Okay, much more excessive of 7. And you will see that this excessive amount of uric acid will also start affecting the pH of the blood. pH of the blood will change slightly. You'll see that patients who have more and more urate crystals starting to getting accumulated, especially at about 37 degrees of their blood, 37 degrees of body temperature, they will start showing increased risk of development of gout. Now, even if they are not having proper gouty attacks, you will know that if they are showing monosodium urate crystals in their serum, there is a very good chance that the patient is going to develop gout eventually within a few weeks or within a few months. Okay. Now, gout can be classified into two types based on its origin. One is metabolic origin. So there is hyperuricemia of metabolic origin. This is occurring in 10% of cases. There is proper overproduction of uric acid. Okay. Whenever a patient is having hyperuricemia because of metabolic origin, it is safe to say that that uric acid is being produced in excess. Okay. Second, and the more common type of cause of hyperuricemia and gout will be that of renal origin. This occurs in 90% cases. This will occur in 10% of cases. So more commonly, renal excretion of uric acid starts getting affected. So for example, the patient has glomerulonephritis, yeah, the patient is having nephrolithiasis, or any renal disorder that might be affecting the interstitial tissue of the kidney. Ultimately, it is causing uric acid to be accumulated inside your body. So essentially what is happening is, whenever there is metabolism in, there are several metabolic reactions occurring in your body. One specific metabolism of proteins. Last year जब आप metabolism of proteins पढ़े थे, उसमें ornithine cycle के बारे में पढ़ा था आपको. I'm not sure whether आप लोगों को था या post PSC को था, but there is something called ornithine cycle. That ornithine cycle is part of protein metabolism. What it does is, जो भी एक्स्ट्रा नाइट्रोजन कंपाउंड्स आपके बॉडी में फॉर्म होते हैं, नाउ यू नो amino acid which is the basis of your proteins has nitrogen. Big component of amino acid is nitrogen. Whenever there is excessive amount of nitrogen, your body will start throwing it out of your system. Essentially क्या होता है यहाँ पर, that nitrogen will be converted into uric acid, and that uric acid will be thrown out through your ornithine cycle. Essentially it is occurring in your kidneys, facilitated by your kidneys. It is occurring through several mechanisms, but ultimately jo mechanism hai which is throwing out uric acid out of your body will be this thing, your kidneys. Let us suppose someone is having a kidney disorder, chronic kidney disease hai, acute renal failure hai, whatever the problem is, wherein your kidneys are not working properly. At one point your body will stage, your body will reach a stage, or the patient's body will reach a stage wherein uric acid will not be efficiently excreted out of their body. As a result, uric acid starts getting accumulated. That leads to gout. Excessive uric acid starts to cause formation of tophi, essentially monosodium urate crystals बनने लगते हैं, which will cause tophus formation, and those tophi will go and accumulate in different joints, leading to gout. Okay, those are the two ways through which the patient can develop gout. Now coming to the pathological manifestations, what you see in the different stages of gout. First of all, if the patient is having gouty arthritis, specifically if the patient is having acute gouty arthritis, it is characterized by synovitis. ठीक है, the synovial layer of that joint will be triggered. ठीक है, that trigger is because of needle like crystals that are formed. ये जो monosodium crystals रहते, they'll take the shape of needles and they'll start irritating that synovium a lot, leading to profound inflammation. And as such, what will happen is that area will become very very painful. So to a certain extent, where even if, let's suppose, a patient is having gouty arthritis and specifically they have an attack of gout early in the morning, let us suppose on a bed se पैर नीचे रख रहे, imagine they are putting the feet down on the floor from their bed. As soon as their feet touches the floor, it will be very very painful for them. Even that small of a stimulus will be very painful, because those monosodium crystals will essentially start irritating your synovium more and more, and it will cause quite a lot of pain. So that is a problem. Generally the great toe is the most commonly affected joint. Then certain patients might have chronic tophaceous arthritis, in which there will be recurrent attacks of gouty arthritis. So again and again, almost every morning or very regularly, patients will start having these chronic tophaceous periods where they'll have, gouty arthritis again and again, and over time it will evolve into chronic arthritis, wherein several of their joints will get studded with these small small crystals, and they will have a lot of pain. Just walking around and all will become a big task. Okay. These tophi, जो छोटे छोटे stones दिख रहे हैं आपको, they can range in between a few millimeters to certain centimeters as well. They can become quite big. ठीक है, and they will generally appear directly under the articulation tissue. ठीक है, periarticular tissue के अंदर मिलता. कभी कभी you can also find them in subcutaneous layers of the hand, subcutaneous layers of your feet. Along with this, you will see a lot of renal lesions appearing in the patient's body. Okay, because a patient who has chronic gouty arthritis, their kidney obviously is damaged, and because of that damage, uric acid is being accumulated. Those accumulated uric acids, they can not only damage your joints, but they can also damage your kidneys. Okay, your patient might show urate nephropathy, chronic urate nephropathy. The patient might show acute urate nephropathy. The patient might have nephrolithiasis because of uric acid. So uric acid will go and block the flow of urine, causing nephrolithiasis or stone formation in your kidneys. All of that is our different manifestations of gout. Okay. One of the most common drugs that you see being used for gout will be xanthine oxidase inhibitors. One example is allopurinol. This drug will essentially not let uric acid be formed altogether. So the final conversion that occurs before uric acid level can be found in your serum is facilitated by an enzyme called xanthine oxidase. Okay. Oxidation of the compound xanthine will ultimately lead to uric acid formation. Allopurinol blocks that enzyme, because of which uric acid is not formed, and the patient's gout can be controlled. So there's a lot of what do you call, problems associated with gout as such, because patients who have gout, they'll have a lot of problems just living their life normally. They obviously will be on drugs all the time, and even with the drugs they'll have a lot of problems. Let's suppose they miss a drug, it become a very big task for them to just get up out of their bed and walk around. Okay, because these gouty arthritis, the attacks of gouty arthritis can be quite vicious, very very painful attacks. If you have any family member who, or anyone who who suffers from gout, you will definitely know the pain, and you'll be able to see what kind of difficulty they are facing. Or even if you don't see someone who in your friends or in your family who has gout, definitely sometime when you go to a hospital, you'll be able to see patients who have gouty arthritis. So that is about different types of arthritis. Now coming to tumors of the bone, or tumors of the skeletal system specifically, these tumors are relatively infrequent, but whenever they do occur, they are very clinically significant. Keep in mind, these tumors are relatively infrequent, do not occur very commonly, but whenever they do occur, they are clinically very significant. Okay, because some of them very highly malignant. Okay, they can metastasize quite a lot and they can be very malignant as such. First, we'll look at bone forming tumors, and the first one under bone forming tumors is osteoma. ठीक है, osteoma ऐसा दिखता है, 1 second. This is a benign tumor, a rare benign tumor. ठीक है, this you can see on the lady's forehead. जो एक bump जैसा दिख रहा है ना, that is a bony bump. That bony bump is essentially a benign tumor called osteoma. Very slow growing lesion. ठीक है, this lesion might occur because of trauma. It might occur because of subperiosteal hematoma. Sometimes it might occur because of local inflammation. There is no true and tested cause as such, but these are some risk factors. If the patient had trauma to the bone, or if the patient has subperiosteal hematoma, or the patient has local inflammation of their bone, maybe the patient had some infection and that led to inflammation leading to osteoma, you will see that this lesion has a very well differentiated lamellar bony trabeculae. So you will see small trabeculae occurring, and they are very well differentiated. Trabeculae essentially looks like sinuses. ठीक है, छोटे छोटे कंपार्टमेंट्स जैसे दिखते हैं. वो ट्यूमर को अगर आप कट करके देखें, तो you will see small compartments being formed, trabeculae being formed inside the bony structure. ठीक है, and these bony structures are generally, the trabeculae itself are separated by fibrovascular tissue. So fibrin and blood vessels will appear in between and they will start separating those sinuses. Okay, that is osteoma, benign tumor, rare, generally follows trauma, followed by trauma. Then we have another type of tumor, very similar tumors. We have osteoid osteoma and osteoblastoma. Now, both of these are benign tumors. Again, very closely related benign tumors. Mostly occurs in children and young adults. Okay? Even though osteoid osteoma is more common than osteoblastoma, there is no clear-cut histological criteria to differentiate between them. Meaning, when you see osteoid osteoma, it will be very similar to osteoblastoma. Very small criteria where you can differentiate them. Okay? Specifically, if we talk about osteoid osteoma, this fellow will be a small tumor. Okay, generally less than 1 centimeter small, less than 1 centimeter in size. It will be very painful tumor, and this will occur in the cortex of your bone. Okay. This is clearly demarcated by having a particular zone of reactive bone formation. So wherever the tumor is occurring, वहाँ पर नई bone form होने लगती. That is a big difference between osteoid osteoma and osteoblastoma. In osteoid osteoma, you will see a zone of reactive bone formation. So there is a zone of bone formation that will not be present in osteoblastoma. Osteoblastoma is also a very large tumor. Okay, much more bigger than osteoid osteoma. Generally, much bigger than 1 centimeter tall, 1 centimeter big. This is, let me put it this way. This is more than 1 centimeter large. Okay, painless. Remember, osteoid osteoma is very painful. Okay, this one will be painless, and it is more common in medulla of the medulla of certain bones, medulla of vertebrae, medulla of ribs, ilium, ilium. Okay, the bone of your pelvic girdle, not ileum, the soft tissue organ. Okay, I'm not sure आप लोगों को ये पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा है, but ilium is a bone of your pelvic girdle. ठीक है, जो फ्लैट प्लेट जैसी रहती है वो बोन, आपके pelvic girdle को देखे तो ऐसा रहता ना pelvic girdle, something like this. यहाँ पर आपका pubis symphysis रहता and so on and so forth. This is the ilium essentially. Here you will have the iliac crest. ठीक है, जहां पर आप एलपी करते, आई एम नॉट श्योर आप लोग कभी एलपी लंबार पंक्चर कभी करे आप लोग, और हैव यू सीन लंबार पंक्चर बीइंग डन? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Lumbar puncture is essentially a diagnostic procedure that you use to withdraw CSF. ठीक है, if you want to diagnose any infections of CSF, या आप ट्यूमर सेल्स चेक करना चाह रहे, CSF को चेक करना चाह रहे, तो आप लंबार पंक्चर करते। यू कैन यूज दिस इलियाक क्रेस्ट एज अ मार्कर, ठीक है, जस्ट टू नो द पोजिशन इन विच L4 L5 के बीच में करते वो, तो कहाँ पर है वो मालूम करने के लिए आप इलियाक क्रेस्ट यूज कर सकते। Anyway, now coming back to this, osteoblastoma, as I told you, will occur in vertebrae, medulla of vertebrae, ribs, ilium, yeah, sometimes long bone as well. And one of the biggest difference between osteoblastoma and osteoid osteoma will be that there is no bone formation. Reactive bone formation will not occur in osteoblastoma. It will occur only in osteoid osteoma. Okay. Then we have the third type of tumor called osteosarcoma. This is a very important malignant tumor. The most common primary malignant tumor of the bone. This is characterized by formation of sometimes there will be formation of osteoid, sometimes there will be formation of bone, sometimes it will be both. Acha, I didn't tell you what is osteoid, right? Osteoid is essentially think of osteoid as a gelatinous substance. Okay, osteoid will be gelatinous substance which is made up of collagen. Okay, specifically it is made up of your collagen and mucopolysaccharides. वो दोनों मिलके एक जेली लाइक सब्सटेंस बनाते हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड ऑस्टियोइड. इट विल बी प्रेजेंट ऑन द बोन. तो ऑस्टियोसार्कोमा में sometimes you can see that jelly like structure, sometimes you will see a bone being formed, new bone being formed, sometimes you'll see both of them occurring together. ठीक है, एंड दिस इज अकरिंग डायरेक्टली इनसाइड योर सार्कोमा सेल्स, जो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू का ट्यूमर है उसमें हो रहा. ठीक है, ऑल ऑफ दिस इज अकरिंग इनसाइड सार्कोमा. Now, your osteosarcomas can be classified into either medullary osteosarcomas or parosteal osteosarcomas. The much more common ones will be medullary. Medullary osteosarcomas को central भी बोलते हैं. So there is this malignant tumor that is occurring in your bones, and sometimes it will occur as a jelly-like substance, which is osteoid. Sometimes it will grow as a bone, or sometimes both of them might appear inside your sarcomas. Now coming to the more common type, which is the medullary osteosarcoma. This, जब भी you see in a hospital people referring to osteosarcoma, it generally refers to this one. ठीक है, almost all cases of osteosarcoma will be medullary. अगर parosteal हो रहा है तो specifically it will be mentioned parosteal osteosarcoma बोल के, because it is much more uncommon. ठीक है, anyway, this fellow will occur in young people. The patients are generally 10 to 20 years old. ठीक है, males are more affected compared to females, and the tumor arises in the metaphysis of long bones. So this tumor essentially looks like this. One second, I'll show you. ऐसा रहता देखो. This tumor is arising in the metaphysis. It might or might not affect the joint. ठीक है, so sometimes it might spread all the way up to the joint itself, but it is not necessary. There is a chance that it will completely avoid the joint itself and it will go towards the diaphysis of the bone. Metaphysis से arise हो रहा. Generally common sites will be your lower end of femur, upper end of tibia, या upper end of humerus as well. ठीक है, near your shoulder joint, या फिर upper end of femur near your pelvic joint, pelvis में भी. All of these are nice sites where medullary osteosarcoma can occur. ठीक है, osteosarcoma itself, this medullary osteosarcoma can be divided into based on the pathogenesis. You have primary and secondary. Primary is occurring without the absence, essentially it is occurring in the absence of any underlying disease. So the patient does not have any other underlying condition, they directly develop osteosarcoma. medullary osteosarcoma. Secondary में the patient might have some pre-existing causes. So those pre-existing causes can be Paget's disease, or the patient might have fibrous dysplasia. The cells of their bone might be undergoing dysplasia and forming fibrous tissue. या फिर the patient is having osteochondromas, multiple osteochondromas. Osteochondromas are essentially आपकी जो cartilage रहती bone के पास, that there will be an overgrowth in that cartilage, that is called an osteochondroma. See, if the patient is having multiple osteochondromas, there is a risk that the patient might develop an osteosarcoma. ठीक है, या फिर the patient is suffering from osteomyelitis, specifically chronic osteomyelitis, लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग ऑस्टियोमाइलिटिस है, या फिर इन्फॉक्शन है बोन में, या फिर द बोन इज अंडरगोइंग फ्रैक्चर्स, ऑल ऑफ दीज विल put the patient's bone at risk for development of osteosarcoma, medullary osteosarcoma specifically. Now I'll discuss about the pathology of medullary osteosarcoma in the next class. यहाँ तक we'll stop for now.